Everybody loves to eat, and when money allows, who doesn't love going out to eat? Dining in one of the world's many establishments. But the eateries we're about to show you are truly strange. And if you're a fan of the odder end of dining, maybe put these places on your to-visit list for once the you-know-what crisis is over. These are the craziest restaurants that actually exist. Number 15. The modern toilet. Now, I'm fairly certain that the last thing that most people would think of when someone says the word restaurant is a toilet or even a bathroom. I mean, I do eat sandwiches in the shower and drink coffee, but that's a whole different thing. The people who opened the modern toilet in 2004 in Hong Kong would decide to lean into these strange, conflicting ideas and open a toilet-themed restaurant. As long as no one's farting on my food or anything, it does kinda sound cool. The entire restaurant's decorated head to toe with bathroom tiles depicting the poop emoji, along with toilets instead of chairs. Among many other little bathroom-themed objects that litter the main room, the food itself is also served in miniature toilets. And when you get something with beef in it, it sure does look like, well, obviously it's not. The menu offers a wide variety of traditional Chinese dishes, along with other more Western-friendly fare like pasta. Feeling like really diving into the toilet theme? Well, they also do soft-serve ice cream as a dessert. And of course, it's in the shape of a fresh, hot, steaming pile. I can't imagine them pitching this idea to a bank and actually getting a loan, or how the banker would even react to such a strangely brilliant idea. Before we go on, like this video, smash the subscribe button, and click the notification bell right now, or this centipede will crawl on your face when you're sleeping. Number 14. Robot Restaurant, the most insane show in Tokyo. The next restaurant is a very far cry from the last entry on our list. Now we have a neon, loud, glitter explosion of a restaurant. It is technically not a restaurant, but they do serve portions of sushi and bento boxes. These are not the highlights of the establishment though at all, because when you first walk into the robot restaurant, your senses will be absolutely hammered by the huge amounts of neon colors and super loud music. The main attraction here is the extravagant shows and intricate and visceral costumes and music. Sometimes it's Disney show tunes and other times there are some originals, but whatever happens to be playing, you won't be able to help yourself from joining in on the festivities at hand. The show itself does last about 90 minutes and it's not really all that expensive. Though it may not be expensive, it's suggested that you do book in advance in order to avoid the long lines. Booking this way will also offer you a pretty good discount, along with a neat little present. For all of you looking for a traditional Japanese ambiance, don't come here. For those of you who are looking for nothing but a great time and some sensory overload that feels like you're tripping on acid while being beat to death by Mike Tyson, then look no further. Number 13. Hurawali's 5.8 Undersea Restaurant. Sleep with the fishes? What about eating with the fishes? At Hurawali's underwater restaurant in Maldives, you can do just that. The restaurant, called the 5.8 Under the Sea Restaurant, is located in the waters of the Indian Ocean, and it's quite small. You'll be dining on that fancy schmancy food that I mentioned before, though in a place of dim lighting, you're treated to the aqua blue ambiance of that dining underwater offers you. The restaurant itself is attached to the Hotel Hurawali's main building, and you don't need to be a guest in order to get a table. Though people staying in the hotel do have first dibs. When you go into the restaurant, there are 8 tables exactly available, and the tasting menu consists of 7 courses. Prices range from $190 to $280. The 5.8 is the largest underwater restaurant in the world, allowing you to gander at the bounties of natural aquatic wildlife that teems in the area as you, well, eat them as well. It's kind of twisted, but to be able to eat underwater, why not? Number 12. Fortezza Medicia Restaurant. This restaurant is for all those true crime lovers out there. You get to eat a nicely cooked, affordable dinner inside of a maximum security prison. As intimidating as it might sound, the ambiance is far from it. In reality, it's just a large, well-lit space with all the flourishes that a very, very old castle may have. The original equipment would be preserved during reconstruction, and that helps to give the old-world feel of the dining room itself, which can seat up to 100 guests. Everything that's done in the restaurant's actually completed by inmates serving life sentences from the attached prison. They'll be the ones serving you. They also cook your food, and some of the inmates, well, they'll even be serenading you while you eat. All of this is available to even the most economical of tourists. The entire experience is only 25 euros. It includes a home-cooked meal, a glass of wine, and if I were there, the thought that maybe something crazy could happen would probably stick in the back of my mind, which is probably one of the draws, I suppose. I also wonder if this could help prove that some of the prisoners are actually properly reformed. Number 11. Dinner in the Sky Restaurant. First, we have dinner under the ocean, then there's dinner in a prison, and now there's dinner in the sky. What's next? A restaurant in a volcano? Well, maybe. This Sky Restaurant is actually an enormous platform that's suspended 150 feet in the air by a huge crane. The people that put it together, called the Hakuna Matata, specialize in amusement parks that are based off of cranes. The original idea began in 2006 and was first founded as a pop-up restaurant and has since traveled all over the world from Hong Kong to Las Vegas. The crane itself is normally used as a steel lifting structure and is more than capable of lifting an enormous platform to such heights. This restaurant is capable of holding up to 30 customers and has a full staff of waiters. The chef, which changes depending on the city that they're stationed in, prepares some nice cuisine for the patrons, and it's also featured some quite famous names preparing dishes to boot. Now, you may be asking, how much does it all cost? Well, the average price is $285 for the 5 courses, which is pretty steep, but also well worth it if you ask me. Number 10. The Disaster Cafe. When I first read the name of this cafe, I thought that everyone in there was a disaster, like dropping plates and cooking terrible food, but that's not at all the case. The theme? Well, it's actually natural disasters, so it's still very cool, if not even cooler. Located in Costa Brava, Spain, the restaurant and the locals see very frequent earthquakes. So why not turn that into a nice place to eat? The gimmick of the restaurant is that they can recreate a 7.8 earthquake while you eat your meal. The whole building shakes and things fall all around you. But don't worry, the plates that they serve your food on are very heavy, so they won't move around while everything else around you does. The servers also sport some hard hats to bring you further into that ambiance. There's also an alien theme, along with an elevator to bring you down to the depths as you enter. All of this is more so catered for children, so don't really expect a 5-star meal out of the place. Still though, the food, well, it's not something to frown at. Everything is well prepared and sure to be a great joy for the entire family. Number 9. The Twin Stars Diner. Why have 1 when 2 is so much better? This is the guiding mantra of Twin Stars, a diner in Moscow, which will have you seeing double by the time you walk through their doors. Everything in the restaurant comes in pairs, from the food to the servers who come to your table, who will be wearing identical outfits, mind you. The owner of the restaurant came up with the idea after being inspired by an old Soviet film called Kingdom of Crooked Mirrors, in which the main character happens upon a mirror that shows her in an alternate version of herself. The main character's name is Olya, while her mirror self is called Yalo.
Очень нравится, очень дружелюбный коллектив. Если одна пара, уже весело, а когда две, еще веселее.
The restaurant has a twin of its own that just opened in New York City as well, so everyone stateside can come check it out. And do you just so happen to have a twin? Well, guess what? You get a 2-for-1 deal. Triplets? 3-for-1. The more of you there are, the more free food you can actually acquire. On the website it says, we'll have you seeing double before you order your first drink. And this is a sentiment that I would have to agree with. Number 8. The Kemi Snow Restaurant. Now, I like snow as much as the next person, but freezing your butt off while you're eating a meal, if it's in a huge snow castle like the Kemi restaurant in Norway is, then you can count me in. We all remember building snow forts and igloos as kids, at least those of us who grew up in that kind of climate, and now you can enjoy a well-prepared meal in an enormous castle that's made out of frozen snow. First introduced in 1996, this restaurant would draw in a huge crowd of roughly 300,000 people in its first year and every year since. Because it is, well, a snow castle, each year it's actually torn down after its service and then rebuilt by a new architect, meaning that each year there's a brand new castle. Along with the snow restaurant, there's also a snow chapel and a snow hotel where guests can spend the night. The menu at the restaurant's quite broad, offering foods from every type of palate, though they do specialize in Norwegian pastries, of course. If you want the whole shebang, you can pay 58 euros and get a sort of tasting menu, which includes a nice hot cup of soup to begin, along with 3 other courses. Number 7. Fish Cafe. That sounds really kind of plain, right? I mean, what could be so cool about a fish cafe? Well, it's because this cafe, well, it's literally covered in fish. Not on the walls, not in little fish tanks, but on the ground. That's right, fish are swimming around at your feet as you eat your meal. The sort of fish that are swimming around you range from little guppies to relatively sized normal carp. The restaurant is 2 stories tall and each story is about 20 meters square, with each floor being entirely covered with about 25 centimeters of water and roughly 200 fish swimming around. The establishment is catered more towards families, so if you do go, expect to have kids running around chasing fish all the time. But don't let that throw you off. The food that's served there really runs the gambit, from things that are more for children to some well-prepared fish items for the parents or even the older kids. The restaurant, called Amix Coffee, is the brainchild of 23-year-old Nguyen Duak Hoa, who really wanted to push the whole animal restaurant idea to the next level. I just wonder if you get to look down and choose your meal. Number 6. Crestone Cafe. Now we're heading back to Japan for our next one, though this is definitely not a Japanese restaurant. It is, in fact, an entire restaurant that's based on a medieval European style of ambiance. The churchy atmosphere really stems from the fact that they had an entire altar brought in, and it's used as the central fixture of the dining area. To accentuate the church-like atmosphere, they then covered most of the restaurant in white with accents of purples and added a very sophisticated feel. The restaurant's often used as the girls-only gathering called Joshikai in Tokyo, which is becoming very popular in Japan in the recent years. The menu itself is a creative combination of classic European dishes with some Japanese touches thrown into the mix. Some of the choices on the menu include the red wine-based shabu shabu nabe with ral pork and the avocado, potato, and shrimp quiche. There's still a ton of other interesting dishes available, all for a pretty decent price as well. So the next time I'm in Japan, I'll definitely put this on my list of places to stop in. Number 5. The Heart Attack Grill. Now, if I could choose a way to die, apart from being surrounded by family and friends and all that jazz, I'd love to die eating an amazing cheeseburger. The core concept of this place is to really try to give you a heart attack. All the items on the menu are extremely high in cholesterol and caloric content, and they take the concept so far that the entire place is hospital-themed. The servers, which are nurses, will take orders, which are called prescriptions from the customers, who are, you guessed it, the patients. Each patient wears a hospital gown before ordering, and those who don't finish their meal receive a paddling by one of the nurses. The nurses are dressed very scantily clad as well, probably to help along any potential heart attack that could be waiting inside of the patient. The burger restaurant's located in Las Vegas and is probably a great place to go if you want to have a heart attack, I guess, or to be paddled by a sexy nurse. Doesn't sound half bad when you put it like that. Number 4. The New Lucky Restaurant. Calling all goth kids who used to eat in the graveyard during lunch, we've got a restaurant for you. This establishment in India is spacious, has a wonderful menu, and is decorated with real tombstones along with a bunch of sarcophaguses laying around. I guess that's one way of showing respect for the dead. When Krishnan Kuti, the owner of the restaurant, had learned of the fact that the land he was going to open it on was in fact a former cemetery, he decided to capitalize on the dilemma. Instead of paving over the graves, Kuti built his restaurant around them. Steel bars have been put up around the graves so that no one will disturb them, and it's thought that the graves had actually belonged to 16th century Muslims as well. Kuti has also said that eating among the dead will bring you good luck, which I guess it could be true, maybe? Along with the dead, you're also treated to a large variety of different options. Through their classic Indian cuisine is most definitely the way to go. My inner goth kid is telling me that I need to check it out. Number 3. Ninja Restaurant. Now, there are gimmicks, and then there are gimmicks. The Ninja Restaurant in New York City is the latter of the two, featuring servers that are dressed as ninjas, breakaway walls, and yeah, they can be really super sneaky sometimes. The initial cost of the restaurant was $3.5 million, and it's set within pagodas with torches and even some prison cells. The restaurant is now infamous, however, not only because of its kind of kitschy theme, but the food is known to be really not so great. What are some examples? Well, how about creme brulee with some veal on top? Or even a soup with clam, crab, and pork served in a grapefruit. It's not really all that super appetizing. I mean, in the end, you really wouldn't go for the food anyway, but for the ninjas, I guess. The idea was kind of a ripoff of a similar restaurant in Tokyo, and despite it all, the restaurant has lasted 15 years. That was until it closed its doors in March of 2020. Before it all ended, a night there could have set you back $100 per person. So I guess it was cool if you really liked ninjas. Number 2. Les Refuges des Fondus. Ah, Paris, one of the capitals of the fine dining world. I'm terrible at French accents. It's also home to the next restaurant on our list, Les Refuges des Fondus. While the dining may be fine around the city, this restaurant does add one little flourish that makes all the difference. Instead of sipping wine from a fancy glass, you do it from a baby bottle. This, I'm sure, is considered sacrilege in a country where wine is almost like religion. The reason for the bottles, as popular belief would have it, is not because of a wine tax, but because back in the 60s, people really had a problem of not knocking over their wine glasses. So the owner at the time just said, screw it, and he started putting the wine in baby bottles. This soon caught the attention of many people and became what the restaurant is known for today. They also serve a perfectly prepared fondue, but good luck getting into your seat when you get there. The space is actually quite cramped, but the owner will personally help you if you're having trouble. Number 1. Au Noir. Probably the most well-known on our list, apart from one with ninjas, is Au Noir. It's a restaurant where you're eating in total darkness. While you're waiting, they show you the menu, and you're able to order before you go in. Located in Toronto, Canada, the Au Noir is not only known for its setting, but for its very well-prepared food and great-tasting menu. Because of the total darkness aspect of the dining room, guests are guided to their seats by the server, then sat down at their table. In fact, all of the servers at the Au Noir are visually impaired in one way or another. The perfect service job for someone with that kind of impairment, of course. The room itself is able to hold about 85 people at a time, and the food is classic but very well prepared. They offer a 3-course menu for a very reasonable price of $40. Out of all the options for a great first date, this seems to be the best one for those of you who are looking, and also if you happen to live in the Toronto area. It's easy to get stuck in the same old monotonous restaurants of our day-to-day lives, but let this be a reminder to everyone that it's totally possible to go out of your comfort zone and try something crazy every once in a while. That being said, which of these really doesn't sound so great to you? And which one do you wish you could go to for dinner tonight? Let us know in the comments below, check out the other cool stuff showing up on the screen, and I'll see you next time.